welcome to the Data Dividend. I'm Stephen Rennick, CEO of Telores, and today I am delighted to be joined by Mario Meir-Huber. Welcome, Mario.
Hi, Stephen. Nice to be here with you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. First of all, I'm just going to ask if I'm pronouncing your name Meir-Huber correctly. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. And this is, as you're also living in the German-speaking area, it's the combination of the two most common last names in the German area, which are joined together with a very complicated way to write with the hyphen, so people always mess it up. So this is correct how you spelled it, basically.
Okay, so that sounds almost like you must encounter kind of entity resolution problems with your name then.
I do that, and since we are both in technology, I decided to give my kids a different last name. And luckily, the last name of my wife has some really cool big data platform last name. So there was not a long decision-making process to go for her last name. You can now guess what it is.
You're married to Mrs. Snowflake?
No, not exactly. Way cooler.
Go on, I can't guess. What is it then?
Kafka, Apache Kafka.
No way. Okay, yeah. That's really cool. I guess it's slightly more likely than Mrs. Snowflake. That would have been something.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Well, yeah, thanks very much again for joining us, Mario. You're our second guest on this webinar series where we're speaking to data experts about the investments they're making in data and AI in enterprises. And last week, we spoke to Ivo Sokolov, who is your co-author on your recent book. And we got into quite a lot of discussion about the concepts behind the book, which was largely about applying proper kind of financial analysis rigor to your AI and data projects. I had a really good chat around that. Mostly talking around the concepts in the book, but one of the core things that your book and my conversation with Ivo was focusing on is that the actual managing of multiple AI projects when you're in a large, enterprise, large organization with multiple projects running at one time, it's very often just managed as a kind of list in Excel. And that's one of the things that you guys are hoping to replace based on your experience working with enterprises on these big data projects. And you've built this Vane Loop. So can you tell me what is the Vane Loop and what does it actually replace?
Yeah, I mean, it's something which we were actually thinking about and working through over the last, let's say, 5 years, something like that. I forget, the time flies so fast nowadays. And I was running big data analytics and AI teams in large European organizations. And what I figured out is that basically nobody's handling this, like doing this data projects and DI projects properly. So everybody's just doing them with gut feelings, no proper financial metrics assigned. Nobody can tell basically what's my maturity in the organization. So I just right now want to do some fancy AI projects, agentic AI and stuff like that. But most people haven't solved the baseline, and most people can't even tell where they are. So this is when I always did some kind of things in these organizations to say, okay, we need to do some analysis where we're standing and stuff like that. And this is what eventually came out of that. So basically what we are combining here, we're combining two things. On the first side, we're combining the feasibility of things, like saying, okay, how feasible is it to execute a specific AI project? We are measuring this with different aspects, such as governance. This is obviously a very key and very important topic. And the other topic is architecture, like how fit is your AI infrastructure to actually do the stuff you want to do. And people, which is an often neglected aspect, but this is where things often fail when people don't accept it. Like we had this super video versus VHS topic in the past where people decided to go for a different thing. So this is the one side of things, that's the feasibility. And we are also applying rigid, rigorous financial measurements on that. So we make sure that financials are there also in place. So we're combining those two axes because what we figured out in board meetings, it's either the discussion like, do you have the numbers right, or do you know where if you can actually do it? The later one is more technical discussion, which people in board normally are afraid to go into. And the other one, the financials, is like, okay, what we figured out is that people are basically measuring their financials with two aspects. Like there are two different kind of people. There's this first person that's saying, this use case is bringing us 10 million or even more. Those are the people, when you look at their CVs, they are changing their job positions every 2 years. So they're saying, like, I just want to get this project done to add it to my CV. I don't care.
Are they actually managing to do these projects, or are they just suggesting them and then leaving before the project actually gets implemented?
Mostly somewhere in between, so that they are never being guilty for the payback. And then there's this other type of person which is saying like, 10K, not more. We already tried it 10 times. It always failed. Like forget it. So these are the people which want to basically retire in the organization. So this is why we say, okay, we need to do something about the financials, and we have some frameworks and guidelines implemented there as well to put this into play.
Okay. Okay, so walk us through what a data leader sees when they log in for the first time. Like, what do they have to do? What do they upload? And what kind of output are they actually receiving? I mean, if you've got a demo and we can work out the screen sharing, then maybe you could walk us through it a little bit. That'd be pretty cool.
I'll just see if I can share the screen. Yeah, here it is. Can you see my screen?
I actually can, yes.
Perfect. Can the people, like the audience, also see the screen?
That I don't know. And because there's this massive delay on LinkedIn, I don't know if they're going to be able to see it. So in about 20 seconds, we'll find out if anyone can see it.
Yeah. So I basically start with the interface here. So this is, as you can see, it's on app.vaneloop.com, where we have this dashboard, more or less, where we have like an overview of the feasibility. We called it the Loop company, inspired by Vane Loop. And as you can see here, it's basically 4.9. It's an average, so average maturity in technical terms. And then you have your portfolio. This is basically like what kind of use cases you want to execute, data or AI. And then you have the intelligence hub. This is what I will explain later on. You also have this Vane Loop agent where you can discuss the different aspects there and stuff like that. What you can also do, you can import your documents with AI. And I think what's very important to mention here is we built everything there on top of more or less a context layer on top of Claude. So we are really deep into that. And
I just want to check. Can you still see the screen share? Because it was working. I'm not sure if I just killed it. I think I just killed it. So you might want to just re-enable the screen share.
Okay, then I'll stop it and restart it. So I need to go back.
Good thing is it was actually working. Yeah, okay. There we go. Sorry, yeah, you can keep going.
Okay, and basically you can import also your existing spreadsheets here where you have all the data about your organization, because people are still managing it that way. So I'll just want to show a bit how you measure your maturity. We have this like distribution. As I mentioned, we're having governance, architecture, and people. And you can basically distribute that. As you can see here, I don't have the rights on this topic because this is managed by one of our sales guys, and so I have insufficient rights. But basically, you have these different drivers, as I mentioned before: governance, architecture, and people. And here you have all the different aspects that play into that. For instance, data quality, but you can see here this is configured on a data product itself. And you would go into analyzing them. You get an agent that is going through a couple of questions, where you can then later on decide, okay, when employees need data, this is the first question, and it walks you through getting some scoring. It's like, I'll just hit some random stuff here because it would take too long to do it properly, because we've built it for people to do real proper analysis of where they are standing. And showing them like how good you are in finding your data. This is access and discoverability. So I'm out in 7 out of 9 questions now. And just really walking through fast so that you can see the results. I don't know what's the outcome. I would say it's somewhere in between. It's calculating your maturity score. It's actually good. So I hit the right things. And then I can apply the score. So this is basically how you measure all the different drivers. And you have some 50 drivers in there, which helps you build your maturity. Then you can go, okay, I have a proper assessment of my maturity. In my platform. What you can see here, that some are orange, they need reassessment because maturity is something that changes over time. And every quarter, you do expect to have some maturity improvements, hopefully in an organization.
So assuming you need to make some maturity improvements on these different factors, is the Vane Loop actually giving you suggestions on what you need to do? Or is this when they kind of ask for like a consultant's help?
Yeah, no, basically this is also what we have there. Like you have an overview of your entire maturity. Where are you on this ladder, for instance? And then you can look into different maturity driver things where you already have something scored. It does give you some guidance eventually what you can do, for instance, like, okay, I need to improve my data strategy and stuff like that. Basically where this all ends up is in the scenario analysis, where you have all your products, like your AI use cases, whatever you want to run, and it's mapping you exactly into this. Like you have this feasibility on this side, and you have the impact on the other side. And impact is the financial thing, it can also be a strategic one, and feasibility is like how likely is it that you can actually execute projects in there. So the low-hanging fruit is what you want to go for normally, because this is where you get a lot of money back, and which is easy to implement. The thing is, we do expect that most things are in this one, which is challengers. They bring a lot of money, so board will push you on getting those projects done, but the feasibility is low. And you can here now argue and tell board, like, look at this, they're tough nuts to crack. We first need to do something. Like, for instance, we need to do some data quality improvements. If you do data quality improvements, you can see your data products change and your use cases change, and more get to the low-hanging fruits where you can then actually implement them. So this is all interlinked and combined together, because the Vane Loop platform does understand how mature your organization is. It does give you some help, like where can you improve something on this field. So this is basically how you would then play with your roadmap. Say, okay, I can execute those 4 projects. They are easy to handle. They bring a lot of money. The other 10, we first need to do something like data governance framework. Like you can also go on different aspects, like improving the team skills, stakeholders, and stuff like that.
And so how long do you think it's going to take the average kind of data leader to implement? And these organizations can get so big that the CIO isn't necessarily going to know the details of every initiative. Does it work that you can divide the tasks up amongst your individual data leaders, or like what's the scope for a complicated company to actually implement this?
Yeah, we are having different type of companies currently working with the platform. So we have this medium-sized European organizations where the data leaders do have a very strong understanding of it. So they basically work there with some of their architects, so they don't have many people in there. But then we also have large European banks which are working with this platform, and there, of course, it's getting more challenging. So the CTO basically has no overview. It doesn't know like what's the feasibility. So they bring in different people on the platform, say, okay, you are in charge of this topic, and then they score it on their way. But we also have different metrics. This is still in beta, so it's not on the official platform where we say, okay, just upload your PDF or your PowerPoints where you want to show us like what's your technical platform, what's your take on it, like how would you change. And we are using also AI in the background to analyze, say, okay, you are compared to your peers in this field, better or worse. So we suggest that you are, for instance, in the data platform or in the AI platform, you get a score of 7 out of 10, or maybe just 3 out of 10 because you're lagging behind. So this is what we're currently working on and implementing there as well. So we will get much faster, and it will become more like a consulting as a service and not a software as a service. We're moving around in this field. Yeah.
Thinking as a vendor of a data platform, are you actually able to add individual technology? Can you like add in a data warehouse or an entity resolution engine here, and it will tell you about the implementation of, say, TiloRes itself? Or again, is it able to say, well, you don't have a specific thing, say entity resolution again, therefore you should be adding that because you're going to need it? Is that, am I right in thinking that? Or are you talking more kind of abstract without actually mentioning any kind of specific companies?
Companies we are not mentioning because we want to be neutral, because there are more providers of different platforms, of course. So when we talk about the modern data stack, for instance, you could go on Snowflake, Databricks, or Google native, or Microsoft native with Fabric and stuff like that. So we'll just check on, we do check in the questionnaires, which I showed you before, like what platform are you actually using, where we have the most common in there. And we can then compare like what are good companies doing, like what platforms are they using. But this will also feed back to consulting approach, then saying like, okay, you guys were using TiloRes and you could leverage much more points with there. So this is something which is coming with more volume we get on the platform, that we can say, okay, customers that that implemented entity resolution could see some gains in X, Y, Z, and we can like from the background we can map this quite easily because we have the context there.
Okay, in the book, and I discussed this with Ivo last week, you've got the napkin test, yes. With the idea that if the business case doesn't fit onto a napkin, you don't have a business case. Is the Vane Loop tool enforcing that kind of discipline, or is it still possible to kind of hide behind complexity?
Basically, we do have this very easy metrics. We have this overview, so we are not presenting the business leaders with here are your 47 spreadsheets. You just see, okay, what are the recurring savings? What's the total value over 3 years? What are the costs? Cost of goods sold. What is the depreciation? What are other costs and stuff like that? And then you get this, okay, when does it break even? Okay, here I select one which is breaking even after 1 month. This is like normally not.
That's nice.
Would be nice, but this is a demo environment. We have a specific return on investment and stuff like that. Okay. Of course, you can like do this like in the background where we have like the recurring costs, how we are going to calculate that, but also here like we have most of that predefined, like that this is a fixed growth, so it never grows. Basically, it stays the same. But we also have like, okay, you could switch it to linear, percentage-based, compound growth, and stuff like that. You do have possibilities to configure it, though, but and there are a lot of financial metrics applied eventually. But basically, we focus on keeping it simple. Okay, now it changed a lot because I did some growth in there. So basically, you do have this this topic there. Also, you have the feasibility and stuff like that on each after the use cases you want to implement. This is, for instance, is a customer insights use case where you see some benefits.
And
basically, it's the napkin. You can sketch this on a napkin. That's helpful. Yeah.
I'm just going to switch off the screen sharing now because we can't see us while we're doing that. But I just want to kind of ask one more question on the actual underlying AI. I think it's Claude you're using. Which model do you use, and what's it actually doing? Like, how have you set up Claude to work on this?
Yeah, no, basically, we are using it a lot in the background to do the analysis. You can also use it in the front end, basically to talk to your data. So, for instance, you could say, hi, what's that? And it will basically describe you the application. It's just you don't see it anymore.
Yeah, sorry, we don't see it anymore.
Sorry. Sorry for that. So basically, we do make all the application accessible via chat. And you can say, okay, you can talk to your portfolio. Basically, you could say, okay, what happens if I invest into blah, 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 like entity resolution frameworks?
Yeah.
How would it shift my things? And then it will show you on the scenario analysis, which I just showed you before, like how the things would change. You could also do what's really cool is this reverse analysis, where I could say, I want to have more use cases being executed because my board is pressuring me. What would I need to do to bring 5 use cases into the low-hanging fruits where they become accessible? And then it's looking into like, okay, what are your issues? What are your drivers? Where do you have weaknesses in your organization? And then telling you if you invest in those 3, 2, 4, 5, 6 things to fix your baseline, you're gonna bring them there. So this is where we're utilizing AI a lot. So basically, we are using it on the front end, of course. You were asking another question, which is really exciting. What model are you using?
Yeah.
All. So it ranges from Haiku to Sonnet to Opus.
Ah.
I have some really complex model switching in the background, where I select, okay, based on the request, I first score the request on complexity with Haiku, and then route it to the appropriate model. I have different contexts there. It's not just one agent which is doing the calculation. So I have highly specialized agents that actually do all this this calculation there. So whenever I figure out, okay, this topic rather goes to agent XYZ, like the scenario analysis agent, then I route it to this agent, which might be stronger or less strong. So I started with like putting everything into Opus with a huge context window, and it messed things up at the beginning because too much context the app has. So I decided, okay, I'll go with specific skills to RAG, MCP, and stuff like that. And the front end does have its own mini MCP, which I can talk to. And basically, I do have like very detailed context, what it should do, what it should not do. For instance, you can't ask our Vane Loop agent to write you some fancy Python code before it proceeds, because it's tailored to do exactly those things well, which I was explaining. So it's, I would say, really, really sophisticated already.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah, we use Claude quite a lot within TiloRes, and most of the time, I think we're finding that Sonnet does all the work necessary. Yeah. I'm very curious what's happening with our live stream, because I can see it and it looks like it's quite far behind us. So we've got about, I don't know, what looks like about a 5-minute gap. I'm not sure how that works, but I'll just add, if anyone has any questions, they can ask them in the chat. We will see the questions immediately on the chat on LinkedIn, that is. And hopefully this is still working. This is the wonders of live streaming on LinkedIn. It's a little bit of a mystery sometimes. Okay, well let's switch on to the actual AI side of things, because I imagine this was quite satisfying to build. And you mentioned to me before that you built this using agentic AI itself, which is I guess the way everyone builds nowadays. Yeah. How was this actually? What does that actually mean in practice? Were you writing it entirely based on prompts? Are you using kind of software agents you've designed? What does it actually mean to build something that looks as complicated as that in practice?
Yeah, I mean, there's no one thing. I started building the platform 1.5 years ago, and I first started with ChatGPT, like, okay, write me this simple JavaScript version, and I was pulling things together. So this is how I started up. This is when the first coding tools were released, or they were really incapable. Like you had to fix a lot on your own. It was challenging and still exciting to work with. So this was my first start, and then the models got more and more capable of how they did things, and I learned a lot as well, like how to best work with the models. Right now, I would say I have quite a lot of agents that do things for me that I'm working with, and I basically built them based on experience I made during doing things wrong. Like I created my own principal architect agent that always does an architecture review I have my own Python agents. I have my own testing agents and stuff like that, specific for the project. I'm running with about 15 agents at the moment. So I'm feeling like my head explodes at the end of each day. I'm coming home to my kids and said they want to talk to me. I say, like, sorry, I ran out of tokens. I was so much multitasking like crazy.
So is AI making your life easier, or is it complicating it because you're now able to do so much more?
I would say both, because this like you have to think so abstract and so complex, and in an enterprise solution, because you can't just change this button here, which is nice because the AI might make errors. So you need to be really, really deep in software engineering. It's telling me that I'm doing screen sharing again.
Yes, that's me. Sorry.
But I want to show you anyway something later on. So basically, let's go back to screen sharing maybe later on.
Yeah.
But basically, yeah, it does make my life a lot easier because I'm so much more productive developing stuff. But like the load on your mind is getting crazy because it's like you're running an entire team basically, an entire product group, or it feels like developing something which normally takes hundreds of people now, you can do on your own. And just to give you an overview, I'm coming out of the software engineering. So my major, my master I did in software engineering, software architectures. I was working at Microsoft for 5 years as solution architect. So I do know how these things work, but the complexity now is really crazy. So this is, I would say, if you want one precise answer, it speeds up my life like crazy. But you somehow have to keep track of the speed, because the speed sometimes can get also crazy.
And when you say you've got like an architect agent, are they running on like one project at a time? Do you have to start up a new agent if you start a new project, or do you take like a memory file for that agent and then start effectively duplicate them onto another project if you were to start another one at the same time?
I want to show you something. Can I share my screen? Then I'll show you something. This is not like how I'm currently handling it for Vane Loop, because it started later on, and I was last week I was on vacation with my family in Central Italy.
Nice.
And when the kids were sleeping, I did some fancy stuff. So what I developed is I call it AI Team. It's basically an open source library on GitHub where I built this stuff into it, like what I learned in the past on how you can run your agents. It's heavily focused on Swift and iOS application development, because this is my second hobby. I do develop iOS games for my daughter.
Wow.
Just as a hobby. She's just giving me the requirements, what you want to play. And I said, okay, I want to speed this thing up. And I was like, now, like trying with this AI team, trying to like mimic a real software team, which is really independent from each other. Like I don't want to do anything with it anymore. So I'll just go with the feature request. Then comes the requirements engineer that does a little bit chit chat with me, like what do you mean by, how would you see this topic? So it's the prompt here is really tailored to writing the requirements which come from the business. Then what's really funny, it's talking to the designer who is designing the app in terms of UI, UX direction and stuff like that. And it's fun when you see them talk. The requirements engineer saying like, okay, we need 15 buttons here to make it happen. The designer says, no, that's too complex. You go with 6. So they discuss and argue with each other. Then it's handling over to the proxy product owner, which is writing the task. Then it's handing over to the architect, which is adding the architectural notes. And then it's going to the implementation engineer. Then I have an agent, which is called the test manager, who's writing the test cases. Not writing the test cases, but specifying the test cases, and then handing it over to the unit tester, who's writing the unit tests, and the UI and integration test engineer, which is really spooky because the UI integration test engineer really writes Apple scripts that actually automate the app and say, okay, if I click here, the user story is the user wants to do X, Y, Z. and it's handing this over to the, like really clicking on it, and then once those two detect errors, they bring it back to the requirements engineer. So basically, I could do a full iOS game, tic-tac-toe, within an hour without doing anything. I was just writing, I want to have a tic-tac-toe in this and that style. Do it for me. It's already on App Store.
Wow.
And it's more autonomous. And you can like install it into any project by NPX AI team. It's asking you like what agents you want to have, and you go with it. So it's at the moment focused on Swift. But you can basically build a game with 30 seconds of your time, and it does everything for it for you. And this is like a full-blown automation. Of course, you can configure it. You could say, I don't want to have this full autonomy and stuff like that. So this is also built into the platform already.
I mean, I guess the next stage of autonomy is getting the an agent to actually design games themselves, the actual concept of the game. I mean, just now you've got your daughter suggesting some games, but maybe you could even have the agent saying, well, why don't we try this sort of game or that sort of game? And then the entire thing is like, how creative can it actually get? I wonder.
Yeah. I do work on something like that.
Oh, okay. No surprise there then.
This is like those topics are a pet project, so it's
Nice.
Takes a lot of time. But if anyone is interested in joining me there, feel free to do
Nice.
that.
So in your book, you've got this AI capability ladder with basic RAG at the bottom and multi-agent orchestration at the top. It sounds like you are actually quite near the top of the ladder. Is that right?
I don't know. I hope so, that I'm at least on the upper part. We describe in the book very, very aggressively that we're saying, like, if you are an 8 out of 10, you are definitely among the leaders. This 9 and 10, this is what only few people will reach. And this is like, I would say this is, Apple was in this 9 or 10 when they released the iPhone, because they had no one that could compete with it. So 9 and 10 means you have basically no competitors.
Yeah.
I would not say that I'm there, because there's so many smart people out there. I do hope that I'm in the upper part, of course.
Yeah. Great. And if someone is listening and they've got a product idea and no engineering team, can they pick up what you've done themselves? I mean, what's the realistic? You've got an engineering background, right? So, I mean, imagine you don't have an engineering background. What's actually realistic for someone to pick up and do? Like me, for example, I'm not an engineer. What could I really expect?
Yeah, I mean, this is a tricky question, because the model's getting more and more complex, capable, what they can do. But on the other hand, you need someone sitting on the other end, orchestrating the agents basically, and tell them like what to do, because they hallucinate a lot, which is good, because hallucination is giving us all these new ideas and directions and stuff like that. So they're not just probabilistic and following some things which they should. But on the other hand, like I recently had to fix an application my brother developed, who is an electrical engineer and not a software engineer. It's like, oh, that's so cool. I tried this new tool where I can develop code with AI and blah, blah, blah. And it took me 3 weeks to put it. I developed my own internal network, put it on my NAS. Everything was working well until now, because it simply doesn't do anything anymore. I figured out what he developed is like, I asked him like, okay, can you show me? Yeah, it's something like a snake-ish thing. I was like, a snake-ish thing? Yeah, it's a Python stuff. I don't know what it is. Okay, he was writing it obviously in Python. And we figured out that it pulled all the code into one very large Python file. No classes, no encapsulating, just doing whatever he told him, because he had no software engineering background. And I'm explicitly telling my agents, like, put it into a layered architecture, use this kind of security defense mechanisms and stuff like that. So you need really good people that are challenging and working with this with the AI. So I would say, if you start if you want to build a startup, you need a CTO who is understanding what software is, who has this software architecture knowledge and this feeling. This is like the one who's orchestrating it. You probably, for the beginning and for a very long time, you only need a CTO. You would probably not need much more people, because I also fully automated how I deploy the platforms, also with agents and stuff like that. But you do need someone that is in the know, because the AI will do something what it instructed to do, but it's not given that it's the right thing. So you need to have someone in your team who is a deep technical expert and who is capable to both understand software architecture, how you build software, how you build modern software, and to instruct the agents. So this is, I would say, the skill of the future. I don't know what's the name for that, AI engineer, ICTO, because you need to have someone who's handling this team of agents eventually.
Okay.
Otherwise, you will produce something, and there is this on Reddit. There's this cool discussion now going on, this month free issue, because a lot of projects go well until month free. Like my brother, I told him he was stopped at week free. So there's this month free problem. All the vibe coded applications work well until month free. And after month three, it's getting complicated, and the context window is blowing up everything, and the application is so bad coded. And I did see so much crazy stuff the AI did. It was crazy, like duplicating functions and stuff like that, just really out of typical software design patterns. So we already way past this month free problem.
Yeah, so you are. That's great. Is your method with all your different agents, that's available in a public repository on your GitHub?
This one not. Only which I showed you with Swift before. The one repository for Vane Loop is not public because it's too critical, because it's so mature that I will not share it at the moment. I don't know. Maybe we'll change the opinion here.
Okay. All right. Well, I think if anyone else wants to, catch up on your and Evo's kind of methodology, they should of course check out your book, Finance Grade Data and AI Products. Vane Loop the book is available via the Vane Loop website, which is vaneloop.com. I'll put that link in the comments. There is also a free tier on the product itself, isn't there?
Yes, we do offer a free tier where people can start and playing with it. Of course, we are limiting the AI functions because this is where we pay a lot. Especially if you're delving into Opus a little bit, those costs could add up like crazy.
Okay. Well, thanks very much, Mario. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thanks, Stephen, and it was nice talking to you as well. And I'll still stick around to answer questions if there's something.